Welcome, everybody. It's here in the United States. It's still the last day of February, February 28th, 2022, and it's been a interesting month to say the least. And this is the Open-Hearted Practice Group. We've been studying the Pathways to Liberation Matrix of Self-Assessment for the last few months, and we continue those studies today with a lesson on beneficial regret. And I'm looking forward to sharing what we have to share with you and giving you a chance to practice. And I'm glad that you're here. And I'm eager to get started. Joy, would you like to do a brief check-in?
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad Jim will take the lead today, and we'll see what we all learn together.
Yeah. So, like many of you might be feeling, I'm feeling pretty tender about the situation that's unfolding in Europe. I, I could name lots of different feelings around that. So I thought what might be a useful self-connection exercise for today would be to just have about 5 minutes of silence. I'm going to put the needs sheet up. You can close your eyes and ignore the needs sheet if you want to, but if you want to use this as a needs meditation, you could do that as well. So it'll just be 5 minutes of contemplating the needs that are alive in us, perhaps in relationship to what's unfolding in Europe or other situations that you have deep concerns about. And then we'll move on to the next step in about 5 minutes. As you contemplate these needs in relationship to what's important to you, you may notice feelings arising. So just give yourself permission to feel whatever you feel. If the feelings that you're noticing are painful, just allow those feelings to be, knowing that they're signals that are giving you information about what's deeply important to you, your needs, your values. So follow your feelings to your needs. If you're just joining us, we're just hanging out with our needs in relationship to whatever is most important to you for about 45 more seconds or so.
Jim,
Yeah,
um, some of us were, I think, prematurely put into a breakout room, and
I noticed that.
I
Yeah,
think I missed a little bit of what we were doing. Well,
sure.
we were at list a
Yeah.
few of the feelings after the needs. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just say that part again. Just I did notice that some of you kind of disappeared there. I think um, wrong button might have gotten accidentally pushed. So basically, we're just taking a look at this needs list in relationship to what might be alive with us in us, especially in relationship to what's unfolding in Europe, what's dominating the news right now. And what I said was, if you notice painful feelings, it's like a signal, and that you can follow that signal to your needs. So I was just encouraging people to give yourself permission to feel whatever you feel and to follow those feelings to your needs. So, for example, I just notice a quality of deep sadness that is alive in me around around what's going on in Europe, and I'm longing for. I follow the sadness to my needs, and it's for security, it's for safety, it's for peace of mind. We'll get back to that needs list at another part of the training as well today. Okay. Well, that was a little chaotic, but it worked out. I regret that maybe you ended up in a room where you didn't intend to be, but we're working on that now. We're going to make some adjustments.
Hey, Jim, can I talk to you later?
Yeah, I will come and visit you later in another
All right.
group. You bet.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And your mic is very loud. If you can turn it down, that'd be great.
I apologize.
No worries. Okay, anybody like to share anything in the large group about what's going on for you in relationship to your what you checked in with yourself about? You can raise your hand by going down at the bottom of your screen. There's something that says reactions, and if you click on that, it opens up a little menu, and there's a place where you can raise your hand. I'd love to hear a few voices about what's been going on for you so far during the call, how it is for you. That would just meet a need for connection for me. You can also put stuff into the chat, of course, as well. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I think the consensus of the group is when we think about what's going on in Ukraine, feeling some deep despair and the need for additional awareness and a real need for some hope. And a couple of people in the group were really feeling there was a contribution from meditation and sending waves of love or whatever to Ukraine and also Putin, and so that was sort of the consensus.
Thanks, Rob, for letting us know what was going on in your group.
Mhm.
Malia?
Hi everyone. Sorry, my video doesn't work. I have a lot of feeling because I'm from Europe. So I grew up on the neighborhood country. So I'm scared. I believe it's my need of safety. I'm also I don't understand. I'm trying my hard, like somebody mentioned in our group, to have empathy for both sides. It's easy for one side, it's easy to have empathy for Ukraine, but it's very difficult to have empathy for Putin. I even have this feeling that even if I will be able or somebody else will be able, I'm not sure if that person is ready to listen. Somebody did share in our group a letter that Gandhi wrote to Hitler. And definitely Gandhi passed my mind so many times these days. And somebody else said, I was happy because it said that how many people raised their hands saying no to this war. And still we look powerless in my point of view, because doesn't matter how many thousands we are, it's still going on. And it's kind of hopeless. Thank you.
Thank you, Amalia. I share your sadness and concern. Yeah. And thanks for the chat. Sudha put a link to Gandhi's letter to Hitler. If you haven't read that, you might enjoy that. Thanks, Sudha. And Yulia.
No, I didn't do that.
No, Sudha. I said Sudha did that. Yeah. And yeah. So anybody else want to share anything?
Yeah, I
Yes.
seen something from Thich Nhat Hanh too, which basically talked similar to what I think Gandhi probably, but I haven't looked at it yet. But basically talking about, it was given in New York right after the terror attack, 9/11, and he was talking about the need for embracing our anger, holding it, and recognizing that pains on both sides, like the terrorist and the people who died and the families and stuff, and trying to have compassion for everybody. And he talked about his own experience of Vietnam. Thank you.
Thanks, Margaret. Yeah, this has been a big stretch for my NVC skills these last few days. And I been noticing how my mind works, how my mind wants to pick a side. And then another part of my mind comes in and says, you shouldn't do that. You should be a good NVC student. And you should empathize with everybody. And then have these arguments in my own head about what's going on. We worked on enemy images a few weeks ago, and it's been a deep stretch for my skills of working on enemy images and trying to connect to the needs for some of the folks involved. And as long as I can kind of, even just saying, I realize you're giving me empathy right now. And it's really helping that I'm just saying this out loud, that as I kind of express what's going on in me, I realize that my need is for safety. And that I imagine that whoever is behaving in a way that I might judge as warlike or aggressive, that they might be motivated by a need for safety as well. And there may be other needs that we can connect with along the way. Go ahead, Ellen. Love to hear your voice. You need to unmute yourself.
Apparently my chat bar won't work, or I would have raised my hand. I don't know what's going on. Maybe the battery on my mouse.
Oh, I see your raised hand. It worked. It worked. I see your raised hand.
Oh, well, it's not showing up on my screen. That's why I kept pushing.
Yeah.
I think for me, what's going on in the world is reflective of my inner world, and there's a real craving for a connection with people who want to be kind, who want to work to be kinder. I mean, I've worked a lot of this the last 7 years with someone who's been deeply immersed in nonviolent communication, and it's that it makes me. I'm sad when I see that there seems to be no give on either side, and that's kind of like in my little world internally, like you're good, you're bad, you're good, you're bad, you did this good, you did this bad, and I don't know how to say it any differently. My wish is, and it's a heartfelt one, that we could come from the heart better. Me, myself, and the world.
Yeah. A longing for us all to come from the heart. Yeah. Thanks for your voice, Ellen. Anybody else have anything that you'd like to share about this first piece? Yeah, Siva?
Well, I'm sitting here with this book.
Mm-hmm. The Compassionate Classroom by our friend Sura. Mm-hmm.
And Victoria Kindle Hudson.
Right.
If all the schools would embrace compassionate learning, we would all have the necessary skills, this is my belief, that we would, and I hope it's everybody else's belief, that we could change this planet and get back to the days of the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, I hear your great wish for things to get to a point where there's well-being for all. Thank you, Siva.
Yeah. I think that's.
I thought she was done.
Said, I think that's why all of us in our heart of hearts are doing this work, because we believe it.
Thank you, Siva. I think we're going to move on at this moment. Yeah, that's okay with you.
Yeah, I'm with you, Siva. I imagine that we're all here because we have a similar longing to live in a world where everyone's needs can be addressed in a compassionate way, where I tell myself people don't go to war when their needs are met. I know I don't. When my needs are met, then I'm relatively happy, easy to get along with guy. I go to war when my needs are not met. So I'd like to figure out a way to have more of a focus on needs, which is what we're going to do today. We're going to work on this idea of what we do when we make a mistake. If you were here with us last week, we worked on openness to feedback. And so it's kind of now what happens when we notice that we have behaved in a way that didn't meet our own needs. So we're going to be exploring that skill today. So let me just share my screen with you real quick to talk about this skill. It's beneficial regret, and I want to acknowledge Jory and I got this particular phrase, beneficial regret, from someone in Thich Nhat Hanh's tradition, a woman that came to Albuquerque when we lived there many years ago, named Lynn Fine. And she was combining Thich Nhat Hanh's work with nonviolent communication. And she, as far as I know, she coined this phrase, beneficial regret, that we have adopted. And it's been a very, for me, it's a great anchor for the consciousness that I long to get to, as I acknowledge and learn from the missed opportunities I have to meet needs and to free myself from guilt, shame, or self-punishment. And so we have this pathway for moving from never hearing from a particular skill to awakening to it. So I know when I'm just talking about my own experience, there's still a part of me that wants to take responsibility for others' feelings, especially my sweetheart, Jory. So if I say or do something and she appears to be upset about it, and it's in reaction to what I've done, I want to think it's my fault that she feels that way. I still suffer under the illusion that I can make other people feel something, and then I try to make it better by apologizing. And if I get guilty and full of shame, then maybe she'll cheer up. That's what I tell myself. I think it's kind of a no-win situation. It's never worked for me, but somehow my brain still wants to do that habitually. And it's because of the way that I was trained. I was trained in a society that really values shame and guilt as a way to try to modify children's behavior. And I was certainly subject to that where I grew up. Eventually, I kind of awakened to a new way of looking at things. And it didn't start out very pretty. I kind of got into a realm where I can't make anybody feel anything. It's, now it's your fault that you feel upset, and I'm somehow absolved or free of any responsibility. And then right behind that, I just blame myself again. I fall back into the old habit. So, but I'm beginning to get I began to get an inkling that there was another way, and it became more and more clarified as I studied with Marshall and other NVC trainers. And what I got from Marshall was that we can, when we make a mistake or do something that has an unintentional or even an intentional impact on another person, that we can transform our guilt into learning. And that's still a work in progress for me. And I'll give you a specific example when we do our practice here in a few minutes. And then sometimes I get really curious about, I kind of move into that integrated category. And I get curious about why I did what I did. I get curious about how it impacted other people around me. And I stay focused on needs. And I move into collaboration with myself and collaboration with other people that are affected by my behavior in a way to try to take advantage of what happened in order to learn and to grow from it. So that's where we're aiming. And this quote has been very helpful for me. So I'll read it for the recording, and then I'll just be quiet and let you kind of contemplate it for a couple of minutes. And then we'll see if we can have a direct experience of this together. So this is a quote from Marshall Rosenberg on one of the CDs. This is a kind of CD that lived in my car for back in the CD era, around the year 2000, 2001. And it just played over and over and over and over again. And this went deeply into my consciousness, this quote: "We never do anything wrong. We never have. We never will. We do things we wouldn't have done if we knew then what we're learning now. And the fun thing about life is that will always be the case." I'm just going to be quiet for about 3 minutes. Maybe you want to write down your response to this quote in your own journal. What comes alive in you? 3 minutes. About 30 more seconds. So let's practice and see if it's true. Let's not just believe it because somebody that maybe we like said it. Let's just see if it's true for you. So the first step would be to write down an observation about an action that you took that you feel guilty about. And pick something that's on the kind of the low end of this scale of intensity. So the observation for me is I threw Jori's slippers away. So it's just that simple. I think it took about 8 words to express that. I threw Jori's slippers away. 5 words. So see if you can describe an action that you took without evaluating the rightness or the wrongness of it. Just state the facts of what you did, or maybe it's what you didn't do in some cases. Just write down one action that you took that you wish you had not taken. We'll leave about 1 more minute for you to think about this and to write down an observation. Another word for observation is a description. Anybody have any questions or need some support with this step? You can raise your hand or put your question or reflection in the chat. Okay, then we'll keep going. So I bet when you think about doing this, some feelings might arise in you. So for me, NVC is a body-based experience. Of course, I'm using my head to support me. So it's in a way, it's a different kind of thinking. But I'm actually using my whole body to think. I'm using both my left brain and my right brain and my whole body to more fully engage with life. So this means that I open myself up to feeling feelings. They might come in the form of physical sensations, might come in the form of emotions. I may still be aware of thoughts, but I just notice them and move back to experience the feelings. Just notice and allow. Physical sensations and emotions as it arises, as they arise in you. So like, I'll just do my self-empathy out loud here. Okay, so I remember throwing these slippers away. Mostly I remember Jori let me know that it didn't work for her that I did that. And then I start feeling this guilt. I did something that I shouldn't have done. I didn't check in. That's the story that I'm telling myself. I should have checked in with Jori before I did that. They didn't belong to me. So that's kind of the story that's going on. I noticed that and I let the story go and I go back to my feelings and I notice kind of a pit in my stomach. And I notice my brain goes fuzzy. And I want to defend myself. I kind of notice this urge to like put up some kind of a shield. I want to justify. And I notice that kind of in my chest and in my stomach, just kind of this tightness. I notice my teeth kind of grinding. And the more I stay with my feelings, I notice some wetness in the corner of my left eye. So I'm sad. I feel sad. I feel sad that someone I care deeply about isn't happy with my behavior. I want to make her life wonderful, and I didn't make her life wonderful. So I feel sad. So just go that far. Just go as far as connecting with your feelings. And first noticing the feelings, then giving yourself permission to feel them. Human beings feel feelings. If thoughts of judgment arise, just notice them, let them go, move back to the body. So now we follow the feelings to our needs and focusing first on what need you were trying to address when you behaved in the way you did. In other words, your positive intention. What need were you hoping to meet when you behaved in the way that you did? So for me, my positive intention was safety and protection. I'll put up the needs wheel for you to look at.
Did they smell?
No, it was really my need was around protecting Jori. I had evaluated that they were not safe. I was worried that she would trip.
They were getting too old. He didn't want to see old flippers, and he was worried.
I was worried that she would trip, yeah. So what was alive in you? What was your positive intention in doing what you did? Some people say that this needs wheel is helpful, and other people not so much. And don't be bound by using this list. You may have another word that you use to describe your need, especially if you speak a language other than English. You might be able to describe your needs to yourself in your birth language with much more clarity and self-connection than you can in English. So feel free to do this work in your birth language as well, if you'd like. So I'm going to pause here and see if anybody needs some support. This is a place where sometimes people would like some empathic guesses to what your need, what your positive intention was. You don't have to tell the story, but it might be helpful. All you really need to let us know is what you're feeling. And we might be able to guess your needs from your feelings. Anybody need some support? I guess you're all been coming to the class and practicing offline, and you're all well practiced. Nobody needs some support. That's fine. You'll get a chance to go to small groups in a little bit anyway, if you need more private support. Okay, so we'll go on to the next step then. So this was your positive intention. This was the need that you were, oh, great. Siva? Need some-
There's a film, I put the information about what to Google in order to find the films in the San Francisco Jewish Film Festival, which ends on March 6th. There's a film.
Okay.
So, Stephen,
got-
can
I
you
got- I
hold
got it.
that
I got
until
it.
we finish the practice?
Well,
Yep.
it's the film is called The Survivor, and that's
You think it would be helpful? Thanks, Siva.
yeah.
Yeah. So moving back to your positive. Did you have any questions about your own positive intention in what you're working with, Siva, or you feel clear on your own the need you were hoping to meet in what you're working with?
You know, it's really, gives so much in terms of three-dimensional understanding when you talk about your own childhood and how the
Yeah, well, what about your needs? What about whether rather than stick with the story, what need were you hoping to meet when you did what you did that you have some guilt about? Are you clear on what need you were hoping to meet when
my
you behaved in
my needs are to be authentic. It's
authenticity? Yeah,
it's
great.
authenticity and in having the courage to speak.
Yeah, so authenticity and self-expression.
Yeah.
Great. And Karen?
Yeah, there's one word in there that I have a hard time unprogramming what it has meant in the past. I'm ready for a new understanding of it, and that's the word justice. I think that in my lifetime history, the word justice is paired with deserved punishment. And I wonder if you could
Yeah.
enlighten me a little on that.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah. So, it's a great question, and I think your experience is a common one. And so there's just I like to look at justice as a need. I mean, they've done studies. Another word might be fairness for justice. If you don't like the word justice, pick another one that points to the same thing. And they've done studies in children as young as less than 6 months old that demonstrate that we humans are deeply wired for wanting to make sure there's fairness. And you're right that we use, especially in the United States, we link justice with punishment. And we even call it retributive justice. And the idea is that we have the mistaken idea is that if we just punish somebody, then they won't do that again, whatever that thing is. But there's another alternative that NVC is a part of, which is restorative justice. Whereas that we frame justice as the time when everyone's needs are first acknowledged, and then we make movement towards addressing those needs. I even like going beyond restorative justice to transformative justice, that we can actually begin to transform the systems that cause the harm in the first place. And so that's justice. For me, a just world would be a world in which everyone's needs were reliably and abundantly satisfied. So that's what I mean by justice on our list. How's that sound to you, Karen? Okay, I got a thumbs up. Okay, should we go on to the next step, or anybody else have any questions about needs? So Siva, I'm gonna just come back to you after we do the next step. Unless you want to send me a chat and let me know about what's going on. Let me share the screen with the next question then. So now consider what need is related to your feeling of guilt. So when I remember doing this, especially, it's enough in the past now. It was about a month ago or maybe two. The feelings have subsided, but as I bring the observation back to mind, I can catch that feeling of guilt, and the unmet need that guilt points me to is consideration. I want to live in a world where I consider Jori's needs as equal to my own, equivalent to my own. And I didn't meet my own need for consideration. I made an assumption without asking. And so that's related to the need for consideration and love, care. So that's what's behind the guilt for me. I didn't meet my own need for I'll just narrow it down to consideration, because my brain can hold one need with a little bit more ease rather than having a whole list of needs. So what needs alive in you? I'll put the chart back up again in case that's helpful for some of us.
Hi, Jim.
Yes.
Sorry. Actually, my audio was not working. Could you just repeat what we're supposed to do right now, please?
Yeah, sure, happy to. So the idea here is that if you're following along, you chose a situation where you did something that you feel guilty about. And I wonder what the need is that's that's causing the feeling of guilt. So in my case, I feel guilty because I didn't meet my own need for consideration.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Jeanette, is that a hand?
Yeah, I'm confused.
Okay.
When I have guilt, it's the warning light for me to go and restore something and go buy her take her out and have her pick out a new pair. So instead of all the feelings, it calls me to action.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering why the wallowing through all the emotions when it's like a clear symptom to go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you actually have a.
I love actually hearing that you want to contribute. That's such a beautiful thing. And sometimes it's helpful to know what the need is because you want to contribute to that need, not necessarily to the shoes and the feet.
Yeah, and I'd so empathize with you, Jeanette, because I think that's the way we're all trained. We're trained to if we cause someone else's pain, we should immediately address it, and that's the life-serving purpose behind guilt. And so we can have a very healthy relationship to guilt. In fact, that's what we're winding towards here is actually transforming guilt into something else, which is regret. And I can see how if I just followed the pattern, okay, I get the feedback from Jori that she wishes that I hadn't thrown the slippers away. I go hop in the car and I go and buy a new pair of slippers and I bring them home and say, here, now everything's better. I'm so sorry I did that. I still didn't meet my need for consideration. I still didn't include her in the formula. She may have another pair of slippers that I don't even know about, or she might have even already ordered some on Amazon. There could be 50 different things that I haven't considered in my own reactivity. And so I want to slow things down and get connected to my needs and then see what emerges from those needs. And the idea in nonviolent communication is that a request will naturally emerge once I'm connected to the needs. And so we're going to get there. But we are going really, really slow for the purposes of practice. And once this gets at a more integrated level, it can go much faster than we're doing it here. We're kind of slowing things down into a micro steps. Anything you want to say in response, Jeanette?
Before I would take Jori and have her pick it, I would also apologize. But I know NVC doesn't do apology, which I think is crazy. So
Oh, we
anyway.
do apologize.
Yeah.
We do apologize.
Oh,
Yeah, we just do it in
absolutely.
a different way. Yeah.
Yeah, we express our own regret rather than express our guilt and shame. That's the difference.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, letting someone know when we don't meet our own needs and how we acknowledge that our actions have had an impact on other people is pure NVC. But to beat myself up, that's not NVC. That actually perpetuates the domination system. I mean, the idea that I had when I was growing up is if I felt just enough guilt and shame, then that would restore justice without even addressing anything. If I just felt bad enough, then everything would be okay. That the way that you restore justice is to just feel terrible. And if you don't feel terrible enough, then I'll just beat you until you feel terrible enough. And then things will be okay. That's how I grew up. You know, that's how the school system in my hometown was operated. And so I don't think that's particularly life-serving. Amalia?
Yes. I do have some question on this one, because for me, most of the actions that somebody will address that they didn't like, it's happened. I don't have a guilt feeling. It's simply I had no idea they needed slippers, or I have no idea that I put the glass on the right and they want it on the left, or whatever stupid thing, because sometimes these are small conflicts, yeah, in a relationship. So I don't feel guilty. So it makes sense. It's because if I already knew, then I'm not going to do it unless I have a bad intention today. Yeah. And that's a different story. I don't feel guilty. I'm like, okay, you know, sometimes they're not so good. Yeah. Happens. Yeah. And
yes.
But
so
I
you want
don't
some
see
understanding.
Yeah.
It sounds like you want
see
some understanding that sometimes you behave the way that you do, not out of malice or spite or anything like that. It's just because you didn't know any better. And once you learn what the other person's likes, then you want to adjust your behavior to attend to their needs.
But I don't see the need of guilt here.
Yeah, you're right. There is no need for guilt. I'm in harmony with that. Regret, maybe. Regret is, I find regret to be really, really helpful. But guilt
Define
has
for me
not.
regret on your point of view. Can you?
Yeah. So regret implies that I'm connected to needs.
Your own needs?
Yeah, my needs, your needs, all needs. I don't even think it's helpful to personalize needs. Needs are just something that kind of they're like the energy of the universe, and it just exists. And sometimes I'm in the flow of those needs, and sometimes I'm out of flow. When I'm out of that flow, and then I get some feedback that I did something and that did not contribute to another person, and that lets me know that I can maybe make another choice next time. Don't need any guilt, don't need any shame in order to
Let's say
change
in
my
the
behavior.
case of the slippers.
Yeah.
Did you feel regret?
I do still feel regret, but I don't feel guilty.
Okay. Wasn't an action that you had no idea actually that slipper are useful?
Right. For me, those slippers were trash. That's why I put them into the trash, and I didn't think they were safe. So my positive intention was to do some cleaning, so to restore some order, and to protect Jori from tripping on the slippers. And the need that wasn't met for me was consideration. I didn't check with Jori. I just didn't check with Jori, and I want to live in a world where I consider other people's needs, not just my own.
So what I'm learning from here, sincerely, will be don't touch somebody else's things unless you ask.
I didn't, let me see.
What I'm learning from this experience that we are talking about is make sure that next time when you want to touch somebody's things, ask. It's not
exactly.
Not bad intention, nothing that will raise feelings on me. I don't know how to explain it. It's simply a mistake. I don't know.
You got it. You got it. We reframe a mistake from something wrong to just something happened. And now we can learn from it. That's exactly it.
So the lesson I'm hearing for myself is I will check next time. Yeah. If I'm in a similar relation, and that will be my lesson, and I'm done. No feelings. No, I'm going to maybe communicate it if I'm open enough. and that's the end of the story for my point of view. I may
You
ask
got
if
it.
they want new slippers or something to repair it. Is that what we are looking for? Is that
Yeah, we'll use this mistake as an opportunity to connect and learn together. What can we do from now on?
yeah? In other words, I'm getting to know the person a bit better.
Exactly. We're connecting. We're connecting and figuring out now what will make life more wonderful. Rather than the game of who's right and who's wrong, we're playing the game of what will make life more wonderful.
But do you
And I
realize
learned
I'm
from,
missing here? I'm missing the analyze of my own feelings because I don't see that I did that action from any needs. It's simply I just I don't know. I don't know. In your case, you're saying you did it for the need to be clean. Let's say I put a glass from left to right, or simply the way I do it. And
yeah,
maybe
so
others.
maybe
Communication.
maybe
Communication.
that could be what, if I'm just doing something like putting the glass where I always put it, maybe the need is ease.
The need is sorry.
Ease. It's just easy for me to do it the way I've always done it without checking.
Exactly, comfortable.
Yeah, it's just comfortable. So that would be the need, that would be my positive intention in that case.
Oh, really
So the
appreciate.
idea, yeah, I want to make sure you guys have room enough time to go to small groups. So I'm going to ask you to hold it again, Siva. Sorry, but I want to make sure you have a chance to go to groups, and then I also want to hear from Maureen when we come back, because I saw you put your hand down, Maureen. Thank you.
Thank you.
That when you come back from the group, I want to make sure you have two needs. The need that was your positive intention in behaving that the way you did, which was the first connection that we did with ourselves, what need you were trying to meet, and then the need of yours that was not met. So you're going to come back from the small groups with two needs, and then we'll take the next step from there. All right. Okay, Jori, let's go ahead and open up the groups, and let's do it for about 17 minutes. If things went well, now you have two needs. You have the need that you were hoping to meet, which we're going to call the positive intention. Back to in my example, I was really wanting to contribute to safety and well-being. And on the other hand, there's the need that was not met. I didn't meet my need for consideration. Okay. So if you did not come up with two needs, you can use mine. It'll work for the last step. If you just want to use mine, it'll work just for illustration purposes. So on one hand, we'll start with our right hand. Just imagine you put the need that you were that your positive intention, and just put it into your right hand, which sounds kind of crazy, but just do it anyway if you want to. So put this need into the right hand. And so this is all obviously your imagination working, and give that need somehow, give it some character. Maybe it has a shape to it. Maybe it has a color. Maybe there's a texture to it. Maybe there's a quality of weight. Is it a heavy need, or is it a light need, or somewhere in between? Maybe there's some movement to it, or maybe it's still. Maybe there is an aroma to it. Maybe even a taste. Maybe there's a texture that if you touch the need, it might feel a certain way. So just connect with the qualities of your positive intention. And then in your left hand, do the same thing with the need of yours that was not satisfied by what you did. So again, maybe it has a color, a shape, a texture, some weight or lightness. Maybe there's an aroma or a taste to it. What's the quality of the need of yours that was not satisfied? And then go back to that positive intention again in your right hand and just savor that need. Savor the beauty of your creation. It's like you created a little work of art there. This representation of your positive intention. Just savor it, savor the energy of it. Enjoy it, in other words. And then turn your attention again to the left hand and savor that need. And you're holding both needs with a sense of equivalence. They're both equally important. They're equally valuable. And then slowly, at your own pace, bring your two hands together and allow these two needs to kind of coalesce, to come together, to mingle, to swirl them around. So it's like you're swirling these energies, mixing the positive intention with the unmet need. And feelings might arise as you do that. Just notice the feelings, name them, give yourself permission to feel those feelings. See if something new gets created there as these two needs blend together. And then when you're ready, just bring them into your heart. Allow yourself to integrate with your needs. Just allow yourself to have needs. Human beings have needs. You have these needs. And from this place of self-acceptance, that human beings have needs and you're a human being, open to the possibility that maybe from now on, there's a way that you could behave that would meet both needs. Both your need for protection, in my case, and my need for consideration. And just to hold open the possibility that there may be a strategy that addresses both needs or all the needs. Maybe an idea pops up. Maybe not yet, but maybe later today or tonight or tomorrow. You're basically giving your brain a puzzle to work on. How could I live in a world where both of these needs could be satisfied? All you have to do is ask the question and open to the possibility. And maybe an idea comes up for you. You can let it go, or you can just stay in this state for a while. I'll just explain what comes up for me. And maybe then somebody else would like to share what comes up for you about it. So here's the movie that I'd like to play if I had it to do over again. I see these slippers on the floor, and I feel this impulse to go and throw them in the trash. And I just give myself a little empathy, how much I want to protect Jori and how I don't want her to fall. And I want her to be well. But I also want to include her in things that affect her. So I imagine going to Jori and waiting for the right opportunity, and I'm holding the slippers in my hand. And I say, sweetheart, I have an urge to throw these away. And I'm really scared that if you keep wearing them, you might fall and trip. So I wonder, Jori, if you have some ideas about what we could do about this. What would work for you?
You like me to answer, or would you like to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate you asking. And I hear the concern for my well-being. And I also notice that I don't want to walk around on this floor without some slippers. So I'm wondering if maybe you could just wait, and I'll do my best to get some new ones. How's that for you?
Yeah, so I hear that you'd like to kind of leave things the way they are right now, but you're willing to get some new slippers. Is that right?
Yeah.
And how would it be for you if I just got them for you as a gift? Maybe I go on to Amazon or whatever, and I buy 2 or 3 things that look as much like these slippers as possible. And I just go ahead and order them. And then I'll take responsibility for ordering them. And if you don't like them, we'll return them. But I feel worried that you got so much on your plate that it might fall to the bottom of the list. And so I'm willing to collaborate with you. How would it be for you if I did that? Would that work?
What I'd prefer is if we look together and we choose together, so we don't have to get a bunch of them, and we'll just do that.
Okay, so you'd like to kind of make it a collaborative project where we both look together at new slippers.
Yeah.
And so would you like to do that right now?
How about, yeah, why don't we wait until after this?
After the class, got it. Okay, so see, this is how I can turn this is how I can turn regret into possibility of how something, it's actually this happened about a month or 2 ago. She still doesn't have new slippers, but we found some other ways.
Wait a minute.
Got some new flip-flops that she's using as indoor shoes. And so that ended up working out. But I'll tell you, because of this incident, there have been other things that I wanted to throw away, things that I was totally confident would be trash, but I still ask. And I've been just including her more rather than just assuming that I know what she wants. I check it out. So I'll just pause there and see if there's anybody that has anything that you would like to share about what you've learned today and how you can imagine using it from now on in your life. How could you use this skill of beneficial regret from now on? Amalia, go ahead.
For me, based on your conversation with Jori, looks like if we communicate enough, we may have a good laugh out of it instead of a conflict.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks.
What if it was actually fun? That's a great idea, huh?
Yeah. And Suda?
I totally believe we can act live laughing or we can act live being pissed off. it's gonna pass either way.
Yeah.
Frida?
Yeah, for me, what struck me is the first step, how to get to the observation, because I had about 6 months of experiences with my father, and it was just a whole lot of jack of thoughts in my head. And it took me a while to find an observation, So it really helped me to bring it down to the specifics, and then the rest of it unraveled. And I think it sort of apply to all the other observations I may have about this engagement. But I think that was for me a very crucial thing. Just the being able to name it in say 8 words or 5 words or whatever. So if I was able to reach that observation that I did not allow my father to travel back home alone.
Yeah.
And just being able to say that, and that sort of grounded me. So I'm really valuing the first step.
Thank you. Yeah, I am such harmony with you that when I take the time to get clear on the observation, the rest of the NVC process is much easier. If I have a muddy observation, I get lost so fast, overwhelmed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sudha.
Thank you.
Joe.
I understand the technicalities of the process, but what I want to ask about is how can you change the behavior? You pick up something and you say, these slippers are trash. I don't think about it. How do you instill that step of thinking about asking your partner what she thinks about these old raggedy ass slippers?
Yeah, obviously you don't. You make a mistake and then you learn the hard way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's like once we asked a teacher that we had, a friend of mine asked a teacher, how do you prepare for a surprise? And the teacher says, well, by definition, you can't. Right? So that's what happens with this is you just don't know till it's too late. We're always going to make mistakes. Goes to that line. The fun thing is it'll always be that way. We're always going to be making mistakes. Yeah.
That's why we call it beneficial regret. I think I'm getting something here.
Exactly. You got it. Thanks, Joe. Juliana?
So thank you so much, Jim, for this exercise. So my regret was that I wish I could have given more empathy to my son. We were connecting in a conversation over the phone because he doesn't live in the same place where I do. And I jumped to my honesty, my self-expression too fast, just out of love and, needing to for his well-being. But so what, as I brought these together, what came from me is I am going to listen more before and this is how I'm going to give empathy, like I was wishing that I could actually hold him, and just be there with him. But how I can do that is I'm just going to hold him with my listening for a longer period of time before I express my honesty out of love again.
Wow. Yeah, it's so beautiful. I had this image as you said that of your giraffe ears kind of growing out like this, and then just enwrapping him, going as far away as he was. Through the telephone, you're able to kind of like just extend that listening as a big virtual hug.
Yeah. I will just remember that beautiful image too. Thanks so much. Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Jori, thank you so much too. Yeah.
And Rob?
Yeah, it's kind of a typical thing with me. My daughter told me that she was going to apply for a job, but the job was no longer posted. So I was feeling overwhelmed. I had to get to this NVC. I had to take out the trash. And so what I said to her very quickly, sort of a fix-it jackal kind of thing, like, apply for it anyways. You can do it. Go for it. And then when I was taking out the trash, I felt guilty, and that I study all this MVC, but I don't use it. So it didn't meet my need for authenticity, awareness, kindness, parenting, and taking the NVC path.
And what did you learn from the regret process? How would you do it differently from now on?
I think I would slow down, and I think I would I think I would say, let's talk about this later. I need to go to the MVC meeting, because to give empathy, you need some time. You've got to slow down. I think that's what I would have done.
Wow. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yes. Take Marshall's advice to take your time. Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And Kong put into the chat, I learned that describing the action without judgment or fuzzing the story is so important as a first step. I learned that taking enough time to sit with the feelings and needs uncovered is a lot of tenderness for myself. Many thanks to my group mates for their stories and guesses. And Corey writes, I like the practice. It sounds like offering a do-over with what didn't meet needs to finding a way to meet the need for both people, along with my regret for the first attempt to meet needs that was not effective. Thank you for this process. Yeah. Thank you. And so imagine now how you could practice this week. I'll bet you're going to make some mistakes this week. How do I know this? Because you're a human being. And even though everything you do is in the service of meeting needs, sometimes you win some and sometimes you lose some. So just imagine taking a look and being open to the opportunity of making a mistake this week. And then seeing that as an opportunity for practice. And so I would suggest that you do exactly what we did today. In retrospect, like in a journal or just in a contemplative moment, think first about what specifically happened. What did you do that you wish you hadn't have done? Get really clear on that non-fuzzy observation. Then connect to the feelings. Allow yourself to feel what you feel. It's okay to make mistakes because human beings make mistakes. That's how we learn. So honor your brain. Your brain wants to learn. And you let your brain know that you're honoring it by feeling your feelings. It's sending you a message.
See, somebody sent me a thank you.
Yeah. And then connect with the positive intention. What need were you hoping to meet when you behaved in the way that you're now regretful of? That's what it means to make a mistake. You just did something you wish you hadn't have done. No big deal. That's regret. No need to feel guilt. No need to punish yourself. No need for shame. Just acknowledge that you were doing the best you could to get your needs met. And then connect with empathy with the need that was not met. The other person let you know their needs were not met. You share those needs. So that's like a clue for the need of yours that was not satisfied. And then just open to the possibility that next time, when a similar situation comes up, you can find a new strategy that might be able to meet more needs with less cost. And so this is the time during the meeting from about 6:25 on to share resources. So if you have a practice group that you offer that you'd like to let the rest of us be aware of, you can put that into the chat. And I'll put a resource in there, which is pathwaystoliberation.com/resources. That's where the recording for this call will be, along with about 50 other recordings that are freely available to you to enjoy and learn from. You can use them in your own practice group or however you would like to utilize them. And so if other people have resources, like you might have to move up through the chat to find did you ever get the website link, Siva, for the film festival that you thought would be so valuable for us? If you could put that into the chat, that would be helpful. And if you have
It is in the chat, and also there's also the email of Alexandra, the woman
Great.
from the Ukraine.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Siva. And also, we offer all of our classes, Jori and I, in the spirit of nonviolence, compassionate giving and receiving, also known as the gift economy, is the new way people are expressing it. In other words, Jori and I are here giving you our gift. And if you want to give back, there's some ways you can do that. You can donate directly to the Center for Nonviolent Communication. If you do that, just please let us know that you did it so that we can savor your gift. And that's actually our preference, is that you give directly to CNVC. But if you don't want to, then you can give the money to us, and we'll make sure that it goes to an NVC-based project. There's a few that we're working on, including one related to the situation in the Ukraine. Right now, one of our trainers in Denmark is doing some fundraising about that. And so we'll donate some of the money that you donate to us to that as well. Also, finally, I wrote a book, and you can order it any place that books are sold. You should be able to order it, like you can get it at Amazon. Some people don't like Amazon, so at this is a list of other online bookshops that have some free shipping. And so if you would like to get a copy of the book, you could do that, or buy 2 or 3 or 4. And money for that goes also to support the Center for Nonviolent Communication. Next week, we will return back with another class. And I need to catch my notes so I remember what we're doing next week. Flexibility in relating. So what flexibility in relating means, when we first learn NVC, sometimes we think there's a right way and a wrong way to use NVC. Or maybe we learn some other thing and we get kind of stuck in right-wrong thinking about how it should be. So we'll be working with that skill of learning how to be more open and have more versatility and variety, more choice about how we interact with others, being led by them. Inspired very much by the work of Marshall Rosenberg and his mentor, Carl Rogers, who pioneered the idea of client-centered therapy, where he really let himself, Carl did, really let himself be led by the needs of the client rather than going in with his own agenda of trying to fix somebody. So we're going to work on that as our skill for next week. And we look forward to you coming back. Jori, anything you'd like to say? Thank you for your support today, showing up even though you're wounded, my wounded warrior friend. How are you now?
Oh, I'm much better now that you've apologized about the slippers. And really appreciating everybody being here and your patience with the making the rooms and stuff and the low energy that I have. So I appreciate all the gifts of shared learning together. Thank you.
And we always have an after party. So if you want to stick around, Jori will make small groups for you if you'd like to do that. And I'm really glad that you were here. I look forward to playing with you next week. Please be well. Please pray for peace. Nobody wins a war. None of us win, and the earth doesn't win at all from a war. So please join me in sending positive thoughts to all of our brothers and sisters involved in this conflict and the other 29. You know, Ukraine's getting all the attention right now, but there are 29 other conflicts that have killed 10,000 people or more. that are going on in the world, mostly in the global south. So everything you do matters. Everything you do to contribute to peace matters. So keep doing it. And thank you for joining us and being our partners. And we'll see you next week. Aloha.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. Peace, everyone. Bye.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you and bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Jim. Thank you, Jori. Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jim and Tori.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jim and
Bye-bye.
Vera.